All right, let's move on to our second and final category, the not adjectives. Now these guys follow a different pattern, but don't worry, it's just as straightforward. And here's a great little tip. If an adjective doesn't end in E, you can be almost certain it's a not adjective.
So a na-adjective, or na-keiyoshi, is basically everything else. They get their name from the na particle that's used to connect them to nouns, like in kirei na hea, for a clean room. But for what we're doing today, we're really just focused on how they act at the end of a sentence, and that's where you see a totally different approach.
And here it is, the huge difference. Unlike i-adjectives, the na-adjective itself doesn't change one bit. To make it positive, you add des. To make it negative, you leave the adjective totally alone and just swap des for dewarimasen. The change is external. It happens completely outside the word.
Let's look at this with some examples. So take genki, meaning healthy. Notice how the word genki itself stays exactly the same in both sentences. All we're doing is swapping the ending. Same thing happens with kirei, for clean. It goes from kirei desu to kirei dewa arimasen. The adjective is untouched, only the grammar around it changes.
All right, it is time for the big aha moment. Let's put these two rules right next to each other. This is where that core difference becomes completely, totally impossible to miss.
And there it is. This is the single most important thing to take away. I-adjectives change internally. You're actually modifying the word itself. Na-adjectives change externally. You leave the word alone and just modify the ending. Internal versus external. If you can just remember that one simple idea, you have absolutely cracked the code for Japanese adjectives.
So let's just boil this all down to a super simple three-step process. Step 1 is to identify. Just look at the word. Does it end in E? Step 2, if it is an I-adjective, you change that E to kunai for the negative. And step 3, if it's a na-adjective, you just change des to dewa arimasen. And that's it. That's the entire flowchart.
And honestly, that's really all there is to it. You now have the two fundamental rules for using Japanese adjectives. Just think of them as new tools in your language toolkit, ready to go to help you describe the world with way more color and precision. So go on out there and start describing stuff. What will you talk about first? Thanks so much for joining me today.